So we'll get cracking on, shall we? So thank you for joining me today, obviously. Can you tell me what
No.
the situation is with your 1867 group at the moment?
Yeah, 1867 group has been disbanded. We formed about 2 years ago now, just through sheer frustration of what was happening at the club. We could see what was coming, what the future held for Wednesday. Um, and it was just one situation to another. And we just went, right, if nobody's going to step up, we'll do it. And yeah, it were me, two of my mates. We went, right, let's go down here. But as things stand, mate, yeah, it's disbanded. Me and Jake are now part of the trust. We're trying to influence those guys to our way of thinking. As you may have seen, the statements now are a little bit more punchy from the trust. But yeah, 1867 are no more. That's not to say they'll never come back if the fans groups and the engagement panel decide that protesting isn't the right way forward, or the trust take the foot off the gas. We may come back. We were very, very close to coming back last week. But yeah, we were asked politely by people that we respect not to bring it back yet. So yeah, it's disbanded for the time being.
You touched on moving to the supporters trust to continue your to protest against the club. What will slash has changed your approach since joining the trust?
What was that? Sorry,
What's changed
what's
your
changed?
approach in like your protesting or like just like going to
Um,
the club?
yeah, the reason why I joined the trust is because when you have a look at every other protest movement, every other club, it's always led by their trust. Swindon, it's the trust. Reading, it's the trust. Blackburn's trust. It's always the trust. While Wednesdays have done nothing, and they've kind of been irrelevant for so many years. But
Hmm.
they have the backing of the FSA. They have a wealth of contacts. They're respected. Whilst we are just normal everyday fans of part of 1867, because we could do things instantaneously, we could say what we like, do what we like, when we like. I can see why people viewed us as toxic. Being part of the trust with that security and that respect that the trust has gives us that bit of security, especially after the abuse that we faced. We went, we can't do this alone anymore. Well, let's join the trust. And if truth be told, one of the reasons 1867 group started was to give the trust a kick up the arse, because they were seen as doing nothing. And when you're looking at every other protest group, as I say, they're always led by the trust. We came around to create a bit of noise and to try and push the trust or anybody into to doing it, but they
Yeah.
didn't. So if you can't influence from the outside, try and influence from the inside. And I think the trust needed the energy that Jake and I brought. And not only that, I'm a student, so when you drop me a message asking for help, straight away said, "Yeah, I think it's fair to repay that." I had a lot of people help me when I was a student, so that's
Okay.
my way of putting it forward.
Yeah.
Um, I did a degree in football business and marketing. I did a lot of experience at non-league clubs. I did a lot of stuff on fan engagement, and I just believe that if I could bring that knowledge, my experience of organising protests along with Jake and Rob, and the enthusiasm and the passion I've got for the club, I could do something good with the trust. I was at the actual first inaugural meeting of the trust. It was when COVID happened. I was on my way from my job at the time, where they locked down. Everybody had to go home, and I turned up at this little bloody meeting hall. And there was like 5 people there, and I listened to what they had to say, and I thought, right, this is the way to go. But yeah, they've never had a good reputation. Their brand recognition is poor, especially across my generation and my friends. They're just seen as an old man's club. Now that I've got involved, and now we're seeing punchier statements, and now we're seeing things starting to move, as well as obviously you may have seen 1867 News, Simon. He's done a lot of podcast work. Um, Having that respectable voice, and obviously with our enthusiasm, we just believe that we could do more with the trust than being alone with 1867, because we a lot of people off in 1867, a lot of people, which some people it was good to off, but looking at the bigger picture, we all just want a Wednesday to just be a normal football. We don't even care about being successful. Just be a run as a normal football club. and we're not. We're so far away from being a normal football club. So we wanted the support groups to come together, and now we're seeing that. Sorry, mate, I can waffle on a bit as well. I do apologise. It's why I was doing our media stuff when I was in 1867. So
More information's the better. If you waffle, I prefer that, to be fair.
that's all
So
right
do you
then.
think since you joined the trust, there's more chance of Chansiri selling the club or like changing his ways about owning the club?
I feel that he has to listen. He's got no other option. The trust have led the way in getting the engagement panel together to singing on the same hymn sheet, which is a huge what's the word I'm looking for? Accolade, huge achievement to get everybody singing on the same hymn sheet. Wednesday are notorious for being fickle. Wednesday fans are notorious for being fickle, and B, the fan groups have never got on with each other. They've not liked that group for whatever reason. They've not liked that group for whatever, and it's just always been like that. And probably once Chansiri's gone, it'll probably go back to being that. However, the way that they've got them all singing off the same hymn sheet and the way that they're moving forward, yeah, I believe that the trust is the right way to go forward now. I really, really do. And we're seeing the results of that hard work from people on the trust, the engagement panel. They're all coming together instead of just they're coming together to say, right, we want better at the club. We want you to sell. And I believe if it's done respectfully and the pressure's maintained, I believe he will sell. If he doesn't, he needs to listen to the fans. We've had 10 years of him not listening. It's not got to a stage now. It's not bashing Chansiri. It's coming from a place where we want a normal football club. Allow us to help. For 10 years, he's not done it. People have changed their tune. It's now a case of show us your plans or fuck off. That's where it's got to.
So for votes, I know this is very like a lot of what has happened to Wednesday's been in the news. But for those watching that are unaware about the situation, can you explain why there are protests around in Sheffield Wednesday and its ownership?
My God, mate, we could be here all day. All day. For people that aren't aware,
It's like some of the biggest stories.
Yeah, I mean, when he first took cover, credit to him, he put his money where his mouth was. He said he wanted to get us promoted for our 150th anniversary. We were so close in the first season. Second season, again, we got to the playoff semi-final. We spent heavy on players. And yeah, you think, you know what, credit to him. Someone's actually come into the club and spent money. Fair play. And it became noticeable very quickly that this bloke didn't have a plan. And it just started to unravel very, very quickly. And I think what tipped me over the edge to my mates, we need to do something about it. Darren Moore getting sacked and slagging off Carlton Palmer, one of the club's legends, that didn't sit right with me. And then we owed the HMRC 2 million quid if every fan chucks in 100 or 200 quid, we'll have it paid. Absolutely crazy. And what's even crazy for me at the time was Wednesday fans were lining up to hand over money to do that. And we've had so many batshit crazy things happen under him. I mean, this isn't the first time that the players haven't been paid. It's not the first time that club staff haven't been paid. We banned Radio Sheffield to create an in-house commentary system. We hired 3 footballing people in, Adam Pearson, Glenn Roder, and I can't remember his name. Shows you how long he was at the club. It was literally a matter of weeks. And then they all left after a month. We hired Katrina May, the controversial Cheltenham Athletic CEO. Really, really nice lady. She left after a year. We've had members of staff come. We've had members of staff go. We have people at the club that have come to us and told us about the situation at the club, such as boilers have packed in and they've not been replaced. They've had to use plug-in heaters. There's a rat infestation at the club shop that hasn't been sorted. We've had fake companies sponsor us, D-Taxis, Elevate. The list is endless. It is endless. And yeah, we could be here for hours. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy, the stuff that goes on. But I'm just conscious that, yeah, we could be here all day with it. yeah, the bloke he lies through his teeth. He just doesn't care about supporters. And as you know, football isn't just a business. It's not. It's a lot bigger than that. And if you went to Tesco's and it was you won't go, would you go to Sainsbury's the following week? You can't do that with Wednesday or your football club.
No.
And the thing that I struggled to understand is that protesting might not get him to sell, he might not bugger off, but you've got to show the bloke that refuses to listen to you that you're not happy with the running of your club. And lifting up a flyer saying sell the club or for sale or out of touch and out of time, that's still respectful in the term of saying, hang on a minute, we aren't happy. But a lot of Wednesday fans, for some reason at the time, didn't agree with that. Now we're all on the same wavelength, and I think we're heading towards that. I think what I think will happen is the respectful protest that 1867 tried to do. I don't think it'll stay respectful for long. I think it'll go to the extreme. I do. I think it'll start turning nasty. And I think at that point, a lot of people may look at 1867 and go, hang on a minute, they did try to do things right. But yeah, that's my opinion. I'm seeing at the moment there's a lot more vitriol and a lot more abusive comments towards Chansiri online than what there ever was when we were there. But what can I say?
Are there any plans for another protest, or is that something that not really something that the Supporters Trust would do?
Jake, Rob and I are pushing the trust to lead on it. We're being vocal on social media saying the trust needs to lead with it. The trust needs to lead with it. They're the guys that need to do it. As you may have seen today, they have found, our volunteers have found a couple of thousand flyers from our previous protests, and they are just taken down to Blackburn tonight to hand out. We have had no input in that at all. Absolutely none. So much so I've taken screenshots of the conversation and sent them to a chap on the engagement panel to share with the fan engagement groups, because I don't want any fracture here. Long-term picture, we want a better Wednesday. This is the way of doing it. We're not splintering off or what have you. So there are plans to hand out flyers this evening. As I said, not organised by us. The trust and the engagement panel and all the supporters groups are talking to each other. I'm hoping that they'll create that protest movement and start that. If they don't, and we get frustrated with the process or how long it's taking, as I mentioned earlier, we may come back. We may. We don't want to at all, but we may. And after the pathetic first joint statement from the supporters groups last week, I had 49 messages, right? That were just DMs. I had WhatsApp messages, I had Facebook messages. My phone just blew up, which is why I kept missing your messages. With people pleading for us to come back as 1867. So the appetite is still there, but I want to do it the right way. We need to do it the right way. And 1867, rightly or wrongly, is seen as toxic. Probably right, as I said. We say what we like when we like. The Trust, the Women's Group, the Armed Forces lads, the Rainbow Owls, the Disabled Owls, the North Yorkshire Owls, all those supporters groups aren't seen as toxic. So it's got to be led and directed by them.
Okay, all right. Moving on now. Well, not really moving on, but there have been lots of rumours recently surrounding Danny Roll's future at the club. Had there been different owners at Hillsborough, do you think he'd stay? And how big of a miss would he be if he were to leave?
We've got the right manager at the wrong time. He's one of those managers that you see and you go, yeah, you're going on to be something special. And we've got that. And when he's gone, which he is gone, right? Bit of inside information. I know that he's gone. Okay. He is. They signed a gentleman's agreement they had a gentleman's agreement in January for him to see out the season when we were 2 points off the playoffs. Okay. I know he's gone. The majority of Wednesday fans know he's gone. His speech on Saturday was basically a farewell speech. Okay. Now, do I believe he would stay if we had new owners? Yeah. Yeah. Why would you? If we had new owners with an ambitious plan that went, right, we're going to have a new training ground that's going to be modern rather than that 70s relic where the pitches are always waterlogged and the plastic dome is always popped and the place is just shit. And Hillsborough's got more rust than anything. The North Stand roof's buggered. The pitch is absolutely buggered. Everything's knackered about the place, right? Why would you stay when Southampton, who are, let's be honest, historically probably a similar size or smaller, slightly smaller club than Wednesday, there'd be no reason to go to Southampton. If we had everything else aligned, if we had owners that were ambitious, that had a plan and said to Danny, right, it's going to be a long process, but we believe in you. We'll give you a couple of £1 million to spend. Because that's the thing as well. In January, we didn't need a lot of money to spend on the squad. It just needed 2 or 3 loan players in key positions, but those quality loan players rather than the bargain basement ones. So yeah, he's going to be a huge miss. I believe he is a generational talent. I do believe he'll manage one of the top 6 clubs in the future. I do. I believe if we had new owners, he would have stayed. Well, no, if we had new owners that came in with a plan and were ambitious, he would stay. But I do not blame him at all for going. I don't. Yeah. What can I say? I wouldn't stay. I'm a Wednesday fan through and through. And if I were a player or a manager, I would bugger off as well, because the working facilities are horrendous. The club facilities are horrendous. And the way that your employer, Chanzeri, spoke about him, if he was to speak about that with me, I'd go, why am I sticking around? I'm off. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's going to be a huge miss. And if things stay the way that they are with Chanzeri as owner and no Danny Rowe, we will be back in League One by the end of next year, 100%.
So you see the team getting relegated next year. Then if the club don't invest, big players go as well.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. So you got to look at it from a perspective of, right, we've got so many players out of contract in the summer. Okay. A lot of those players haven't been paid. A lot of those players have been here the last time they didn't get paid back in 2021. So they may have had reassurances in 2021 that they'd be paid. It'll never happen again. And then it's happened again now.
Yeah.
Those players that are out of contract, they've probably got families. Well, they've got families, they've got bills. They're just like us. They just have a higher quality of life than what we do, but they've still got bills. Why would you stay? So our experienced players are going to leave. Now, if you're a new player, well, a player that we're trying to sign, why would you sign for Wednesday, where now it's notorious that we don't pay wages compared to other clubs that do, normal clubs? So you're gonna struggle to sign those players. We don't know who our manager is, but we know that the budgets are tight at Hillsborough, so we're going to get a poorer quality manager who's probably going to sign poorer quality players. We don't have a head of recruitment, or our recruitment guy is gone, right? So we are really going to be scraping the barrel in terms of the quality of signings that we're going to bring in. The atmosphere at Hillsborough has been for years, but under Chanzeri, it's just silence. There's no fan engagement from the club to come forward and go, right, what can we do to improve your match day to get that atmosphere better? We've heard talk of safe standing, but we've not heard anything further than that from January's crazy fans forum. So it's just a melting pot of toxicity that is going to result in relegation. It's going to happen unless something major happens. And this is what we said a year ago. This is what we said 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Come in with a plan. Tell us what your plan is. Improve your fan engagement. Get fans on board, and you will buy yourself time. Fan engagement is crucial. You will buy yourself time if you allow fans to feel part of the club. He never has. He's never been that way inclined. So that time that he could have bought is gone. It's just everything is pointing to a relegation at the end of next year. It really, really is. And I think even the most blinkered Wednesday fan would say to you, it's going to be a struggle next year. But who knows? Who knows? But that's my prediction. I think we'll be relegated this time next season.
Obviously, last season you had a very dramatic end to the season, avoiding relegation. Is it hard to get too excited over good times like that, knowing that in a couple seasons, like next season, you could be favourites to go down if players go, manager goes?
We're used to it, mate. We're used to it. Every time we get a glimmer of hope, or you think, right, the future looks good for Wednesday, someone just comes and takes a sledgehammer to it. It always happens. We were playoff final against Hull and the atmosphere was great. And leaving Wembley, I'll tell you the truth, I didn't see anyone crying, I didn't see anyone upset. We all just went, we need a player in centre midfield, we need a defender, and then 1 or 2 astute signings, and we'll be up there. And then the following season, we got to the playoff semis, and I think everybody left then going, that could have been our chance. Obviously, we then had Wembley, played Peterborough. I mean, what a comeback that is. From 4-0 to 4-4, and then scoring the 120th minute at Wembley. You could not buy that emotion and that feeling as a marketeer. You could not buy it. They should have been absolutely hammering social media, the local press, been going around schools, handing out free tickets. They should have been hammering it, because that power of that emotion and the togetherness that the club felt at that time, you could have brought in millions. You could have brought in millions and brought in the next generation of fans. This is what I'm saying regarding fan engagement and why it's crucial. But what we did is we took a sledgehammer to it by sacking Darren Moore, which, rightly or wrongly, it's played out rightly in the long term. We got Danny Rowe. But to bring in Xisco, again, what the were our Chelsea thinking? Right? So there's a glimmer of hope. We smash it to pieces. We get a glimmer. Oh, we got Danny Rowe. We still put last game season against Sunderland. Brilliant. You know what I mean? Right, this season, we're 2 points away from playoffs. Just sign a couple of players. We're not asking just break the bank. Just back him. We bring in Sissoko and Stuart Armstrong. And it's like, well, they're not the players that we needed. And if you'd have spent a couple of months, we could have been knocking on the door of the playoffs. We could have been, because the league standard this year, other than Burnley, Leeds, and them lot that we share a city with, the standard of the championship has been horrendous. In my opinion, there's not been any other teams where you think, bloody hell, they're good. So we had a real opportunity, but we absolutely shat all over it. And then you get a generational manager, a generational talent like Rowe, and instead of backing him or giving him belief to stay or these are my plans, he's gone. He's going. So we're going to end up with next. Every glimmer of hope that we have, if we think, oh yeah, we're moving in the right direction, just get over. You get used to it being a Wednesday fan. I don't know whereabouts you're from or what team you support.
Well, I'm a Notts County fan, but my dad's a Wednesday fan.
Oh, yeah,
I get like secondhand experience of it. So,
how did you end up a Notts County fan then? If you're an old man's,
I'm from Nottinghamshire, so that's the first game he took me to a Notts County game. So, I've been to many Wednesday games. I went to Wembley. So,
did you?
Yeah.
Good day, weren't it? Good day, cracking
Very
atmosphere.
good day, yeah.
As I say, you left that stadium and the atmosphere was incredible. And you could not buy that feeling. And you should be able to sell so much and bring in so much money. I mean, if they could have released anything at that time, and I'd have paid for it. I'd have bought it, because I was just so high in emotion. And yet we just big time. And it's just so frustrating. So frustrating. But it is what it is, mate. You kind of get used to it. We've always been that way since I've been following us. So,
I mean, I went to the Hull game on Saturday, and leaving the ground then was just toxic, very toxic atmosphere. And comparing that to Wembley, massive like decrease downhill.
This is the one thing that I don't like, is that we've got 3 sections of the fan base. We've got one that is completely Chansiri out, right? And then we've got the other extreme where it's be careful what you wish for. And they're pro Chansiri, right? For whatever reason. And then we've got that middle part, that middle section, which is just apathetic to it all. They either don't care about the situation, have just gone, oh, we can't influence it whatsoever, so I'm not going to do anything, or they just go for a day out with their kids. Yeah. It's their routine. They go for a beer in the same pub, they sit in the same seats, they eat the same food, they do the same things, and it's their routine. And I think what we've seen recently is we've seen more people come to the Chansiri out now. We're definitely seeing it online. It's just a case of moving that what's the word, that mutual feeling of online to having a real life presence
to the ground.
So yeah, and I think Hull, I didn't go to Hull, I'll be honest. I was absolutely rotting in a bed in Birmingham because he's got no to play for. And yeah, I'll be honest with you, I haven't been to. Well, I ain't got a season ticket. I ain't had one for the last 4 years. Again, just with my own protest of Chansiri. I didn't like the way that he was operating the club. Didn't like him. Didn't want to hand him a penny over. And it kills you. Absolutely kills you on Wednesday through and through. Had a season ticket for many, many years. Went home and away as a lad. And then, to not go to any games, it kills you. It does. It absolutely kills. Every Saturday, my missus looks at me and she's just like, "You wish you were there, don't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I do. I don't want to be dragged around being killed." So, that's my own personal little protest, and I've been for a few years now.
I've obviously you shared 1867 group with the other two people. Have they done the same protests as you, not going to games?
No. So Jake has two young lads, and he goes with his father. I believe his father's 70 odd. So he still attends games. He support the team, not the regime, and he sees it as valuable time with his family. And I wouldn't. You'll never see me say to anybody, "Don't go to games, don't renew tickets." I'll never say that ever. Okay, because it's a huge part of people's lives. It's their identity. It's their time to catch up with friends and family. We see people when we go to the games that we don't even know the names of, right? But we ask them how they've been, how's their work, how's they miss. The same faces, right? And I wouldn't blame anybody. I wouldn't ask anybody to not go to games. That's my own personal decision not to go, right? But everybody else, I won't ask them to. It's your football club. It's special watching them lads run out in blue and white stripes and IO silver lining, and when that ball is back at net, special. You can't buy it.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I can't stand the bloke that much that he's not getting into a penny out of me. So,
okay.
as soon as he's gone, I'll be back within. As soon if I see it on Facebook, Twitter now that Chansiri has sold the club, I will drive down to Hillsborough, buy home shirt, away shirt, and next year's season ticket. So, I can't wait for him to go. I really can't. I just want to be able to attend my first love again.
Yeah, fair enough then. So that's it for my questions. Have you got anything else you want to say about ownership, club, or covered every base?
Yeah. What can I add? I think the EFL have got a huge part to play. I believe that the fit and proper persons test needs to be strong, but I also believe they need to be done on an annual or biannual basis. There should be a power available to remove poor owners or force them to sell the club, like we have seen with EFL with Reading recently. I think the FFP rules are because you should be allowed to spend what you want to spend. However, the debt should remain with the owner, not with the club. That's my personal opinion. I think those rules should be brought in. I think then, sorry about that. I think then we'd see a lot more competition because we see that the Premier League is basically a closed shop. Top six is definitely a closed shop. Same three teams get relegated. Same three teams get promoted. It's just that all the time. And now the Championship is basically Premier League 2, right? So FFP shite. We need to get rid of it. Let owners spend whatever they want. Let them spend whatever they want, but the debt stays with them and not at the club. Simple as. Or even better, just introduce a wage cap across the board, and then reduce tickets. Make football clubs part of the community again. And then once you've got tickets that are a reasonable price and it feels part of the community, you'll see better atmospheres in stadiums. You'll see a better product on the TV. You've got a better product to sell abroad. There you go. That's how I'd improve football. The EFL needs to take huge responsibility for the way that a lot of these clubs are run. And solidarity to Reading, Blackburn, Swindon, all these football clubs, Bury, Macclesfield. We've all had owners. I've got full support for all those guys, and hopefully one day English football will change, but I don't think it will. I think we'll continue to see a rise in non-league football because it feels more of a community than your big clubs. But anyway, mate, that, like I said, I can speak for England, so I do apologise.
That's perfect.
But yeah, I could rant and rave and what have you. But as I say, I'm not. I was never the media man for 1867. I've got a face for radio. Yeah, but as a student, and obviously people helped me, I felt like I had 12 years
Thank you very
old.
much for that. It's perfect. Saved me.